For the past 2 years, we have seen the real estate market keep tanking, and we all know that is caused by the high interest rate, which has been really effective. Did it serve its purpose? Some argue that it doesn't help inflation because the core is still elevated regardless, and it is meaningless if we lower the inflation rate. But the fact is, since the interest hike last year in 2022 and now through 2023 that is about to end, it has worked at least in numbers so far, from a high of 8.1% to 3.1% today. With the sentiment of holding the rate and already into discussion of possible rate cuts in 2024 that are happening to our big brother and neighbor Americans, it will be an interesting year to come. Well, I tried to finish this video as soon as possible. As you can see, I'm quite under the weather. Please excuse the voice if it sounds quite different. In a blink of an eye, we are already almost Christmas, and the end of 2023 is approaching. It's been another year, and I have been consistently making videos to update you about Toronto real estate. I noticed that a lot of you who watched my video and had not subscribed to the channel. I hope you can take a little moment to hit the like button and consider subscribing to the channel to support me as a Christmas present. I greatly appreciate it. For clarity, let me walk you through a brief sales history for the past 3 years and how we arrived today. The reason why I'm showing you the 2021 sales data is to able to demonstrate the sales in Toronto during extremely low interest rates. Right off the bat in January, you can see that during 2021 the sales were 6,928 in one of the slowest months of the year. We still saw a little dip in 2022 with 5,636 and a horrific drop in January of 2023 with 3,100. That is a significant decline. A little reminder that the interest hike started in March of 2022 when it was first introduced to fight the inflation. If you look into the entirety of 2021 year, most of the springtime was hovering around 5 figures in terms of transactions, and during the fall they were still maintained in the 9,000s. In contrast, in 2022 it didn't start badly, and as soon as the interest rate increased in March, sales started to drop from 15,652 to 10,955, and that is a huge decline of 42.87%. The correction kept going throughout 2022, and even the fall did not pick up in September and reached the bottom with 3,117 sales in December. At that point, we had already witnessed the lowest sales volume since 2008. The roller coaster ride of sales carried on in 2023. The interest rate hike went on for 10 consecutive months that lasted until January of 2023, sitting at 4.5%, before the Bank of Canada decided to hold the rate in March and April. This created a little spark in terms of sales during March 2023 at 6,896, but still far from 2022 at 10,955. However, in this period, the average prices went up significantly because the buyers that were sitting on the sideline went back into that market. Remember when I said it was a roller coaster year? Well, because the Bank of Canada decided to raise the interest again in June and July, and this time the market never recovered. Even though the Bank of Canada held the rate during September, October and December, the market never rebounded. My guess is that the earlier part of the year already exhausted all the remaining buyers that were looking in the market. Sales during September were down to 4,000, and that never happened for a long time. And the fall market was supposed to be the second highest season of the year. At the time of recording this video, the Toronto Real Estate Board has not released the official data for December. But considering the sale were 3,117 last December, my guess would be similar or less than last year. Let's take a look at this year that was provided by Toronto.com. This is a chart annual real estate sale from 1996 to 2023 as of November 30th of 2023. In the earlier part, I reminded you that sales in 2022 were 75,049, which was as low as 2008. But this year in 2023, we had an even bigger step back. We are at the lowest since the early 2000s according to this chart. Sales at historic lows. There is no denying that the market was really bad, and some can say crashing, but in terms of sales. For the bearish group, which was always hoping for a housing crash or huge correction, that also did not happen. Don't quote me yet. I know that there are certain pockets in the GTA that have some price correction that could be as deep as 10 to to 20%, but this is certainly not 50%, as some have hoped. I'm speaking from clients that I have been selling and buying recently in November and have suffered a big loss, but at the same time, they can benefit from purchasing again. Let me get back to this later in this video, and let's explore the average price in the 5 major regions of the GTA in the past 4 years. At a quick glance, if we compare the average prices for Hilton in November 2020, it was $1,068,161, and compared to November 2023 at $1,208,950, it is still up by 11.64%. But obviously, it was down from the highest in 2021 at $1,350,000 and came down to $1,156,315 in 2022 when the interest hike happened. Hilton was one of the regions that was up compared to last year. That is another example where I was noticing that the prices are still resilient, and hence that reflects why the sales are down significantly, because the seller are just not selling at a much reduced price. Appeal, it started with $889,302 in 2020, and it is still up in 2023 at $1,031,654, up 13.8%. The average almost remained identical compared to last year. If we compare the current average price to the peak in 2021 at $1,114,000, then it is down about 8%. In the city of Toronto, really nothing much changed between last year and the current year in 2023, practically flat. There is only a $400 difference, so it is practically the same. But they are still down from the peak at $1,096,736 to $1,051,180, a 4.33% drop. From what I can tell, the price of the freehold property is holding on the most. At York, the average was the highest during 2021 at $1,394,713, just shy of $1.4 million, and so far in 2023 at $1,286,617, which is a negative 8.4% down. It is an even smaller drop compared to last year in 2022 from $1,309,646, and it is marginable down negative 1.79%. By comparison, the York region was the most resilient in terms of average prices and demand still stronger than other regions. Finally, at Durham, the peak in 2021 was at $988,594. It is currently at $883,115 in November 2023, which is a negative 13.08% down. But compared to last year, $892,677, it is only down 1.08%. Bottom line, average prices really didn't come down much from the peak in 2021, and overall, they are still up if we compare them to prices in 2020. Obviously, the prices came down and didn't appreciate. That is the effect of the interest hike. However, we can also conclude the prices were not down like many predicted, and the seller exhibited resiliency to sell at a lower price. Average days on the market are much longer, and termination, suspension, or price reduction were more apparent during this year. Therefore, those who need to sell might have already gone through all the options, and the most impacted were those that were approaching the closing date on their pre-construction purchases and renewal of mortgages. To be honest, right now is the hardest time for sellers, and it is more important than ever to work with a great realtor. Why? The issue with realtors who are reluctant to speak with the seller and who are scared to be honest is that they are only fearful of losing the listing. That's actually the reason a seller doesn't trust the realtors. Instead of hearing an agent honestly tell them what the true situation in the market is like, they just hear an agent saying yes to them without offering any meaningful advice. The truth is, if the realtor is not communicating well with the seller, this will only hurt both parties when the listing turns stale and only worse going forward, damaging the relationship between the seller and the realtor and resulting in a future with no referral and such. At the end of the day, this will only add another price reduction, terminated or suspended transaction on the market. Simply put, it is more important to let the sellers know the true comparables that are available and present them with true facts. I can witness more realtors succeed even more by being the true professional and get more business at the end. At least that is how I operate, and I would rather work with clients who are realistic and not looking for realtors that only know how to say yes to the seller. The reason why I brought it up is that I encountered too many realtors on the listing side while I was working with my buyer's client. This can work in the seller's market when everything sells like hotcakes, but definitely not in this market, which is more favorable to buyers. This is when the real knowledgeable agent shines the most. And I also noticed that this is the time when a great agent excels and showcases their negotiation and communication skills, gets the client closer to the objective, and establishes realistic expectations. Like I said earlier, when the listing turns stale or ends up not selling, only the seller and realtor suffer the most. Touching on another topic, the news tell us that in Canada, economic growth stalled through the middle quarter of 2023. Real GDP contracted at a rate of 1.1% in the third quarter, following growth of 1.4% in the second quarter. Higher interest rates are clearly restraining spending. Consumption growth in the last 2 quarters was close to zero, and business investment has been volatile but essentially flat over the past year. Export and inventory adjustments subtracted from GDP growth in the third quarter. The labor market continued to ease. Job creation has been slower than labor force growth, and the unemployment rate has risen modestly. All this bad news means good news for real estate because it is forecasting an end of interest hike. Can we see the light at the end of the tunnel in 2024? At least that is what the analysis is saying at the moment. Okay, enough rambling. I hope you can find some value in this video, and before making the video too long, I'll end it here. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.